Hi, everybody. I'm Diana Mins Chen. And today I was inspired to create two videos. This is my second video. And I want to talk to you about what happens behind the scenes for people when they channel. So when we channel, we're in an altered state, a trance state. That means our energy field is expanded and we are in a place of openness, vulnerability, allowing. And we allow our source of guidance. It could be any spirit being that we feel comfortable with connecting to. It could be our soul. It could be different energies. We allow those energies to make a connection, and our awareness we place in different places. Our awareness when we channel is very important for us to have some sense of. Typically, I tell people to be an observer. When you're channeling, you're just hanging out, you're not interfering, and you're allowing the energy to be in you and for guidance to flow through. All right, I talk about the waterfall. I just made a video about the four elements of surrender, and I talk about that waterfall, that flow we get from spirit, the energetic flow that comes through what we call the line of communication. It's a streaming, really, from our source of guidance into where we make sense of it in our top two chakras, sixth and seventh chakras, where it plays on our clairs, on our psychic ability. And we feel, see, know, hear from spirit, sometimes taste and smell. Now, our awareness is very important when we channel. And here's the art of channeling. All right. It's one thing to open a channel, it's another thing to really study how to be a clear channel. And a clear channel means that we are out of the way, that we are not interfering with that streaming that comes in. And what we receive from spirit is what we write, compose, feel, hear, know, etc. Now, when we go to channel clearly, we don't let our egos interfere. So if there's a word that your source of guidance uses that triggers you, maybe you get afraid about it, or you have certain beliefs about it, and it's disruptive to you, you don't like it, or for some reason you feel emotion about it, that can interfere with the channeling. So in the background, we have to catch that as soon as we can. We are not perfect as channels, all right? So you may witness a channel kind of seamlessly channeling a guide, but there's definitely things going on in the background. And over time, you learn how to deal with them. So if we get triggered, and we have to catch ourselves not going down that path of thinking about it so much, because that draws us away from the connection to our guide. So we notice, okay, I'm being triggered by this word my guide's using, and I'm just going to let go. I'm just going to go back to being surrendered, being relaxed, letting go. Very important that you catch that as soon as you can, because otherwise it will really close down your channel and you have to go back and, reconnect and get it together again. Now, so it's work on yourself, okay, to lessen the amount of triggers you have as a channel. Yeah, and that's very important. I have a piece of paper here with my notes on it. That's what I flipped. Now, there can also be another instance where you see an image clairvoyantly. Subjective clairvoyance is in our mind screen, on our mind screen inside. So maybe you get an image of, let's say, a flower. Okay, so you see a flower in your mind. Now, it's real easy to start to think about that with your awareness as you're channeling. What's the flower about? What does this mean? What does it represent? Why am I seeing a flower right now? And your mind, your left part of your brain gets very involved in what's going on. If you receive an image, typically, most often, it's simply to support the guidance coming through. So, for instance, you see, let's say a rose, a red rose, right, to make it more specific, while you're getting some guidance. Your guide may be giving that to you as a representation, a symbol that means, you know, there's a sweetness in this relationship, a beautiful passion, a heartfelt passion. So the rose could mean many things, and you need to really leave it up to your guide to define that. What do they mean by that? So you have to really, again, just let go and surrender. So much of channeling is about that. It's just letting go and trusting that this being that you're channeling, it could be your soul. Your soul certainly knows more than you do as just one human being, because your soul has been around. It's had many cycles of growth. All right. Or your guide, you know, they're definitely more spiritually evolved typically than we are. Now, another thing that comes up behind the scenes is that we get into a space where we don't know what the next word is going to be. At the beginning, when you start to channel, this is not so. Typically, when you first start to channel, you will get a word or two, you get an image, you'll get just small little blurbs here and there. All right. And it can be kind of things that don't seem to go together or not a full sentence. And that's typical of the beginning when you start to channel. As you get better at channeling, you will need to let go of what word comes next. Again, back to that idea of flow, of just flowing with what's coming in. So you may not need, well, that's true. You may not need to know what the next word is, but also just not getting so involved with what's being said. You are just the go-between, the conduit, the channel. All right. Between your piece of paper or your music sheet or your artwork or, you know, your voice recorder, you know, you're bringing a source of guidance through, and then you're notating the guidance they're giving you, their words that they're giving you, their ideas, what they think. So it's been my experience. I did this with Michael the Archangel. This was a few years ago. I spent a couple of years actually working with him on bringing through the exact words he wanted to say. So if it seemed clumsy in terms of English, if it was words that didn't make sense, which sometimes he would do, I would be channeling in front of a group of people and he would say something that didn't really make sense, you know, a word that didn't make sense. And of course, I would have some judgment in the background, but I had to get used to just letting him have his say so that what we channel became more specific, it became clearer. And those are the kinds of things that as channels, we deal with in the background, behind the scenes, behind the scenes. So I hope that helps you in some way, everybody. All right, take care.